Hello, thanks for joining us, everyone. Happy Monday to you. Hope the sun is shining where you are. We are back at it today. We were not here last Monday, but we are so excited about today's topic and getting you to get your websites up and running and making yours unique from the rest of the Century 21 brand. So we are welcoming, as usual, Christopher Gunn from MoxiWorks. He is going to walk us through some SEO optimization, but we also have Kent Braaten here from Century 21 Fusion in Saskatoon. He is an expert in this stuff. He was giving us his statistics on his cost per click onto his website, the customization he has done. And the best part is that Chris and Kent know that not everyone loves technology, maybe as much as they do, and customizing all of this stuff. So we're going to walk you through the basics, what you need to be doing in the back end of your website, what you need to be doing in the front end of your website. So Kent is such an expert at this. He said he's getting a couple of deals a month now that he's done this. He said it takes a while, but he's going to show us what we need to do to set things up, to maybe make things go on autopilot, a year from now, but still important to do. Chris, good morning. Hi.
Good morning. Thanks for having me today.
We're always happy to have you. And this is such an important topic that I know that we could go into for days and days, but really, this is just a place to begin for people who don't know much.
Okay, perfect.
We can do that, and I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Perfect. So let me just go ahead and get all set up with a quick screen share. Just give me 1 second. And what we'll start off with is just a quick presentation to talk a little bit about SEO and what it means and what it is. And then we'll jump into some of the stuff that you can actually do in your site. And so SEO and content marketing is all about building an online reputation. And I think that's the thing that's important as the most basic takeaway. SEO is your online reputation, and your content that you use to support it is where that reputation is decided from. That's how Google and the search engine crawlers identify you as an expert in an area. So let's define some of the terms. SEO is search engine optimization. Essentially, it's the process of improving the quality of your website traffic organically. And so this is gathering unpaid traffic by showing that you are an expert in a certain field or in a certain area. Content marketing is a form of marketing focused on publishing and creating content for your audience specifically. And so it's targeted content that shows and reinforces your expertise in that specific area that you're trying to get people to look at you for. And then there's search engine marketing, which is paid advertising and promotion of websites on the internet. And so that's buying ads on Google, Google My Business, using Facebook posts, using Bing ads. And so all of that would fit under search engine marketing, which is generally going to be paid activities. And so just to recap really quick, SEO is optimization, and this is to get organic traffic. Content marketing is creating content for people to land on that shows your expertise and encourages organic traffic. And search engine marketing is placing ads to direct people to pages that are relevant to their search, using paid advertisement and directing them to relevant content. Okay, so next, SEO and content marketing are designed to work together. So SEO is a really technical thing. It's your link URLs. It's how you set your pages up. It's the meta tags that you use that can really change a lot of things about your SEO. Content marketing is a lot broader and a lot more holistic. And so what I mean by that is content marketing is showing that you're an expert by putting in content that reinforces what it is that you do. And so, for example, if you are the #1 realtor in the Okanagan mainline, and you have a bunch of articles about different areas there, and vineyards and rivers and distilleries, and then what people are looking for in houses, specific resort areas there, things like that that are very sort of focused on that area. It's going to make you look like more of an expert in that area. And when the search engine crawlers look at your website and they see that content, they're going to serve that content for people that start searching for homes in that area, or river properties, or if they're searching for a second home in that area and you've got content about buying a second home there, then it's going to make it a lot easier for them to find you organically because you have content that matches their search. And so SEO has needs, and content provides for those needs. I think this is one of the easiest examples to understand SEO and content. They're like two people. One of them is needy, and one of them is a provider, right? And so SEO says, "Hi, my name is SEO, and I need you to do blank." And content marketing can do that for you, right? And so SEO needs you to have content to link to. It needs you to have available keywords to pop up in search. It needs you to have enough content on your page for it to be deemed interesting and authoritative. And that's what content marketing does. It provides all those things that help grow your organic SEO. So the keywords on a page are what people are searching for. And if you have those keywords in your content, Google is going to be more likely to serve your content up to people as they're searching. So SEO and content marketing complement each other. SEO demands content, and content marketing is content. SEO demands keyword, and content marketing means using keywords in an effective way to show that you're an expert in an area. SEO demands link backs, and content marketing introduces pages for people to link back to, or for you to link to within your site. SEO is looking for on-site technical optimization. And so a content marketing piece needs to have a good design. And SEO requires consistent output. And a good content marketing strategy is something that you do consistently. It's not, hey, I'm going to create this one page one time, and it's going to get me 100,000 clicks. It's creating content that's relevant to the various areas that you want to be shown as an expert, and then updating that content consistently so it continues to be relevant. And so the two things really do rely on each other. And if we were to look at sort of the hierarchy of needs of things that you can do, right down at the bottom of the list is, and so if we go from the bottom of this pyramid up to the top, the easiest things are at the bottom, and the most complicated stuff is up at the top, and the most technical stuff is up at the top. So first is making your website accessible to search engine crawlers. And that's something that we'll show you guys how to do today, making sure that search engines know that you're there and they can actually see your pages. Next is creating compelling content. And so when people are searching online, they're asking a question. If your content answers their question, it's going to be a lot more likely that they land on your pages. Being keyword optimized. And so people are searching for very specific words and phrases. We'll talk about this a little bit more. I'm sure Ken has loads to say about this. But people are searching for very specific words and phrases. And if you include those words and phrases in your content, it's more likely to show up in their search. Having a great user experience. And so a fast load speed that looks good on multiple devices. That's part of the reason why building on our platform, a WordPress-based platform, is really fantastic, because it provides that fast load speed that's easy to use and a UI people are used to. And then having content that's worth sharing. So if people start sharing your content or posting your content other places, the more people that link to your content, the more authoritative the search engines see that content as being. And so if there are two pieces of content that say the exact same thing, and one's got 55 link backs and one has 2, Google is going to weight the one with 55 link backs as the authority and ignore the other one, right? And so having share-worthy content is really important. And then we get up into some more technical stuff. So the title, URL, tags, meta description, all of those are things that give the Google search engine crawlers and other search engine crawlers cues as to what's actually on your page. And then finally, the snippet and markup. And so the meta description of your page and any additional markup that you can do for your URLs and is way up at the top of the list, or way up at the top of this pyramid for the last bit that can push you over the edge. And those are all things that you can actually edit in your C21 sites. Before we jump off of this and jump into some real world stuff, I'd like to talk about some of the types of content that you can create that are compelling. And so things like buyer and seller specific content, tips and tricks, guides for what to look for in an agent, guides to the listing process. People are searching for this kind of stuff on a regular basis. So if they're searching in your area, they may as well find you. The only way for them to do that is if you have relevant content for them to come across. Process content about the home sale, right? And so mortgage, title, insurance guides, after sale guides, home maintenance, talking about second homes and how people are managing their second homes. That's all content that people are searching for every single day. And so having that content is going to make them more likely to find you. Local neighborhood pages. This one's huge. It's really difficult to show that you're a local expert in an area if you don't have any content that is localized to that area. So if you're selling in Saskatoon, have some pages on Saskatoon. And so properties in Saskatoon, rentals in Saskatoon, how to buy there, what neighborhoods people should be looking at. Those are all really important things that'll drive traffic and rankings to you. And then there's also being able to have industry analysis and advice. If you wanted to build category-specific blogs, so things about different building styles, different home styles, and why people like them, why they might not like them. Renovation blogs. So what are the things that you can renovate in your home that are going to generate the best ROI? Those are things that people are searching for on a regular basis. And so every time they see you in one of those queries and click on your page, that's going to let Google know that you are an authority on that subject and more people should be directed to your site. And then also highlighting things like your community involvement, because that's important. I know that when I searched for a realtor years and years ago for the very first time, I was comparing them on what they did, right? And how active they were in the community, not just their sales. And so people are looking for other things as well, and having content to show them who you are and differentiate yourself beyond just the sales content is huge. I'm going to share this deck with the team, and there's a few really cool tools and resources in here. One is some information about the Yoast SEO plugin, which is built into your C21 Canada sites. And so we'll actually touch on some of that today. I've also included a link to a really great beginner's guide from Moz and WordStream. And neilpatel.com is a fantastic site that I actually took a lot of my content from for this. They break it down really, really easily and have lots of really good beginner content and intermediate content for anybody that wants to get into really honing their SEO. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And Kent, you ready to chat through some of this stuff?
Absolutely. So I guess what we decided on today was to go through some of the key things in the back end, simple stuff that'll make a huge difference. That Chris feels important, I think is important, and then some things you can do on the front end of your website. So I guess the first thing I want to touch on is Google Analytics. One of the first things I would install in the back end of your site, and the MoxiWorks site makes it super simple, is to go and install Google Analytics. I'm just going to share my screen for a second here. Of course, that starts with creating a Google Analytics account. Go to analytics.google.com/analytics, and it'll walk you through it. Data is like gold nowadays. Everyone's collecting it. MoxiWorks collects it. All website providers, anyone who sells a product should be collecting data. What Google Analytics will help you with is is at least, you'll know how many people are going to your website, how many people, how long they're staying there, which pages are relevant to them. And it'll help you build out your website based around that. And I think that's your first basic thing you should do is get Google Analytics installed. From there, a cool tool that's free to all C21 Canada agents is the benchmetrics.app platform. So once you have Google Analytics installed, you can compare yourself against other real estate agents around the country based on your different traffic sources, overview, site performance, and if you're running any Google ads or anything like that. But yeah, definitely number one is put Google Analytics into your site. And I think Chris is going to show you how to do that.
Yep. And so I'm going to just go ahead and take over here and share my screen again. So to put Google Analytics on your site, you're just going to want to go ahead and click on My Website and click Access My Website Admin. And that's going to take you right here to your Agent Website Admin tool. The first thing you're going to want to do is click on Settings and then Site Analytics. And that's going to take you to your Google Analytics page. And all you have to do to add Google Analytics to your site is copy your Google Analytics web property ID. It's going to start with UA dash and then a string of, I think, 10 digits. You're just going to want to copy it and save it right in this little box. So copy it, paste it in, and click Save. And that's going to apply a Google Analytics tracking tag to your site. So that you can continue to do everything that Kent was mentioning, track how many views you're getting, where people are going on your page, what that page funnel looks like, and really identify what content is the most valuable to consumers on your site. And then if you wanted to take that a step further, we also provide Google Tag Manager access as well. So if you're using Google Tag Manager, which is a more advanced version of tagging than just the regular Google Analytics, you can actually put your Tag Manager ID in. And then we've got loads of different events that you can track. So basic data events, any sort of posts, scroll tracking to see where people scroll on your website. And then there are also a couple available integrations and some advanced features as well. And so really, really powerful capabilities to add the Google Tag Manager and Google Analytics suites here to provide you some insight into exactly what's going on your site.
Chris, I have a question. As you are doing this, I have this pulled up on, where do I find that profile property ID when I'm on a Google Analytics page?
And so when you're on the Google Analytics page, your property ID should be up in the top left-hand corner of your initial screen when you land in Google Analytics. I'm not looking at it right now, so I may be a little off on that, but it's always going to start with UA dash, a string of numbers, dash, and a final number here. And
yep,
so
I see that. It is a number. Thank you. A UA number.
Yep. Okay, Kent, what do you want to talk about next? All right, so while Kent's getting back online, a couple other things that we can chat about today that are fantastic in the site that you can leverage are actually a really important. One of my favorites is the Safe Redirect Manager. And so I don't have any redirects set up on my site, but if you've already built really valuable content and you're moving from one site to another, that content has already accrued SEO value. And so let's say, for example, you have a community page that people love to click on your old site. You've recreated it on your new site, but the URL is a little different. And so before it was Homes in Saskatoon, now it's Saskatoon Homes. So it's your name / Saskatoon Homes versus Homes in Saskatoon. You don't want to lose the value of that page that you've already created that loads of people have looked at. And so to maintain that value, what you're going to want to do is set up what's called a redirect rule. And so how you would do that is here in Settings, under Settings, you would go to our Safe Redirect Manager. and create what's called a 301 redirect. And that tells search engines that a page has moved permanently from its previous location to a new location. And so it really is as easy as going in and saying, my old page was www.oldpage.com. And I want people instead, when they go to this page, to land on www.newpage.com. And you would set that up as a rule that says 301 move permanently. And honestly, if you don't know what type of redirect, just leave it as a 301, right? And then you can create this rule, save it as a draft for when you're ready to move that page over, or publish it right away. And whenever someone lands on www.oldpage.com, they'll be redirected to your new page. And that essentially tells all of the search engines that, hey, this page didn't go away, because they hate it when they land on empty pages or 404s. This page didn't go away. It's just been relocated. It's basically a change of address formed for pages on your site. And so the prior address was here. It's moved to this new address. Please redirect all the traffic there and maintain the SEO value that was already accrued on the previous site and direct it to this new site. And so it's a really powerful thing that you can do in your site to make sure that you maintain the value of what you've already created. Kent, did you have anything you wanted to add on 301 redirects?
Yeah, I think it's a super powerful tool. Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing worse than you spending time on your website, and then you switch to a different platform, and you might have pages that rank, and then they don't, people are going to those pages and they go nowhere. It says, error 401 or page does not exist. This is hugely important for anyone who on, over the last, year or 2 years have spent time on their website, to not lose that accessibility from your clients, to forward it on to relevant pages on your new site.
Perfect. And I know that you were going to talk a little bit about setting up Google Search Console. Did you want to jump into that?
Sure. Yeah. I'm sorry when you asked earlier if I wanted to touch on analytics. My mic wouldn't turn back on, but I am logged into Google Analytics, so I'll just show them their UA number quickly, and then we'll move on to Search Console here.
Perfect.
Yeah. So when you log into Google Analytics, all your website properties are up in the top left corner, and this is the number he's talking about, this UA-121. So you'll have an individualized number to be able to copy and paste into their site. But yeah, the next thing, highly important, is Google Search Console. Basically, what the importance of Google Search Console is, you can do things to make sure Google knows you're there. I mean, obviously, Google's always crawling, looking for content online. But what this does is you can take your sitemap of your website and basically tell Google, "Hey, I'm here." You can index it on Google Search Console, and it's basically knocking on the door saying, "Hey, I'm here," instead of it trying to find you, which is a great way to start. Once you build probably a few searches, your neighborhood pages, different things like that, to index every page, so that your sitemap is relevant, and you get a leg up, I guess, on your competition by doing that. This will walk you through it. You just go to I believe it's just, search.google.com/search-console. And it'll walk through the whole process. It's a pretty simple process, but it's really important, I believe, to get a leg up on your SEO.
Yeah, and it's huge to make sure that they're able to actually know where you are. It was one of the first things in that pyramid that I showed at the beginning. The very bottom layer is being able to be found by Google and the search engines. And a way to guarantee that is actually to go into your site. And this links up a lot with what Kent was just talking about. And view your XML sitemap. You can actually get into your sitemap right here, once again, under settings. And then under XML sitemap, you can go ahead and click on that. And that'll take you to your sitemap. Right now, it's going to say your sitemap is currently blocking search engines. If you are blocking, none of you should be, but if you are, you're going to want to change this. So that's the first thing to check. And then it's going to give you a URL to your index file. And so you can check to see if Google has been notified, Bing has been notified of that file. And so right now on my site, I'm blocking it, but I can turn that off whenever I'd like. It really does make it easy for you to find your sitemap. And so if I were to actually click on this, I can view all of the pages that have been created on my site. And it basically is a map of all the pages that have been created. It lets Google know exactly what URLs you have, what people should see when they go to your site, and then how frequently they can expect that content to change. Okay, from here, I think one of the things that we can talk about next is activating your SSL cert. And as Kent mentioned, there's the service that's being provided free for Century 21 agents, where they will do that for you. But once again, under settings, I'm going to show you exactly where to find that. And so under settings, all the way down at the bottom here, you're going to see SSL. And you will see SSL either is activated or is not. If you have 2 green check marks, you don't have anything to do here. But if you don't, you can just go ahead and click go ahead, activate SSL. And what SSL is, it changes a site from not secure to secure. And so when you see that little lock in the top right-hand corner of a page, that's because it has an enabled SSL cert. And then a final thing that I'd like to touch on, and unless Kent, you had something that you'd like to add here?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I find with most agents is they haven't accessed their SSL certificate, or if you look at a website, it says HTTPS rather than HTTP. You will have trouble ranking on Google if you don't activate your SSL certificate. Your SEO will be tougher because Google likes websites that have an SSL certificate, because it's basically saying, hey, you can trust me. I'm not spam. I'm a person. I'm a real website. I offer a good service. So that is key. The one thing I did want to touch on again was the service that we did talk about, benchmetrics.app. They will do the first 3 of the things on our list. If you need help installing your Google Analytics, registering your sitemap or indexing your sitemap with Google Search Console, and activating your SSL certificate, you just have to email onboarding@benchmetrics.app. Tell them you're with Century 21 Canada, and they will do it all for you. And you'll have access to their ranking system, which ranks websites, real estate websites around Canada. So very simple. There's 500 Century 21 agents on it now. I think they're onboarding another 1,000 over the next month. So some of your brokerages are already doing it, but it's if you don't have the time, send a quick email to onboarding@benchmetrics.app, and they'll help you set up. Well, they'll actually set up the 3 of those things on your list.
Yeah, that's a huge, fantastic value. I don't know how you guys managed to do that, but that's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge. We at Century 21 Saskatoon helped them, develop their data stream and what's important. And the deal was that Century 21 Canada gets their platform for free, and they'll set it up for anyone that wants it. And the platform will always be free. That's available. So
awesome. Okay, well, next thing that I wanted to talk about on the back end, then we'll move to maybe some front end stuff, is the Yoast SEO plugin. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen again, and you guys should be seeing my screen now. And I'm actually going to show you the Yoast plugin in 2 places. So first, I'm going to show it to you on a site page. Pardon me. And so I'm going to go to my All Pages menu. So Site Pages, All Pages. And I'm just going to pick a content page. So I'm going to just choose this About Me page because I haven't really done anything with it, and click Edit. And on this page, you'll see down at the bottom of this Pages menu that I have the Yoast SEO Premium plugin. And this does a few things. So first, it's going to give me a preview of what people will see when they search this page. And so they'll see about me, Testy Testerson, but I don't have a description of what that means. And so I can actually provide a description by editing this snippet here that can include keywords to make it easier for search engines to suggest me or to suggest this about me page when people are looking for a realtor. So I can edit this to say more about me, and I can even change the title or slug of the page and insert variables here. And so it gives me a lot of power to be able to really modify what's called the meta description, which is how search engines look at a page and identify what's on it. I can give them a hint as to what's on my page and basically a cheat sheet for what they're looking at by filling out this meta description and inserting some content in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that editor. Another cool thing that's in here is a readability analysis. And so you'll see that I've got lots of great results here for readability, but it's saying, hey, you're not using enough transition words. And so words that change from one part of the sentence to another. And so I can take that feedback and apply it to the content that I've created. One of the things that this readability analysis does is it looks for readability at I believe a 9th or 10th grade level, which is a median level of readability. And so it's not asking for you to write essays at a college level and then scoring you based on that. It's actually using a Fleisch reading score, pardon me, which is the median sort of level that people can read at in a given area. And so you want to write your content at that level to make it easy for the reader to consume. And so that this is a few hints that can help you do that. And if you're green across the board, that means that your content is easy for people to read, easy for people to consume, which means they're more likely to read the whole thing and interact with it more. Next is I can put in a focus key phrase, and you see that I haven't done any of this, and it's given me an analysis on some homework that I can do, right? And so I don't have any outbound links on my page. So it's an about me page. If I have reviews somewhere on a third-party site, I can have outbound links that go to those reviews. I don't have any key phrases set for this site, and so I can set a key phrase for that site to basically use keywords to show the Google crawlers exactly what's on my site when it's searching. I haven't added my meta description, so it's telling me, hey, make sure to write a meta description. And then it's giving me a couple of improvements that I can make. And so I have images on my page. I can add additional attributes to those images, things like a phrase or description or caption for those images, because Google search is text-based. And so it's looking for lines of text that describe what's on the page. If I have an image with no description, it doesn't know what that image is of. And so if I put it in a description and some additional information about that image, Google will know if that's relevant to somebody's search. And that's just one more thing they can recommend me because of. And it says that I've got some good internal links. My text length is good. And so that's all really positive. But it gives me 4 or 5 areas that I can work on to improve my page quality so that the search engines look more favorably on my pages. And it's also easier for a consumer to read and get the information that they're looking for. And so those are 2 really powerful things that you can do right away with the Yoast SEO plugin. And then also I have the ability to identify what content or articles are the most important on my page by marking them as cornerstone content. And just like the cornerstone of a house, right? It's the first stone in the foundation. So it's really important to be able to identify these are the things that I want my site to be known for. And so being able to actually identify that by marking something as cornerstone content so that the search engines pay attention to it a little bit more. And all of this is going to come to a score that I get at the end. You'll see I've got a good readability score, and I can do a couple of these things and turn that into a great readability score. But then I can also update this to give an SEO score on that page. And so if I were to go and fix all of the things in this analysis, it would generate an SEO score for me. to let me know what I can expect the visibility of this page to be like. So is it going to have good visibility? Is it going to have poor visibility? And once again, it gives you a red, yellow, green scale. It's really easy to understand to be able to identify that. But even further than that, we actually have some really fantastic tools, and you'll see them under SEO here in the Yoast plugin that go beyond just the content on a single page. And so you can actually set up you can check your dashboard and it'll detect any problems. Once again, I'm blocking my robots.txt file, which is my sitemap, and it's alerting me of that. But then I can also turn on or turn off some of the tools that we just looked at. So the link counter, admin bars, the ability to flag content as cornerstone or not, I can turn that on or off. And then I can also use any webmaster verification tools that I was looking at. And so I can put my code for Google Search Console right in here. Or if I'm using Bing or Baidu, I can put any of those codes in here to be able to really track the performance of my website. But then I can also craft what my search appearance is going to look like. And so identifying if I'm an organization or a person, putting the name in the logo to really just sort of frame what my page is going to look like every time somebody sees it online. And then I also have the ability to authenticate into my search console and get my authorization codes in there. And finally, and I think the biggest one is adding my social property URLs for all of my accounts and making sure that that data is available on my pages as well. And then some additional tools that I have in here is the ability to import settings from other SEO plugins or actually bulk edit the titles and descriptions of my pages. And so if I wanted to go in and make my page titles more friendly for SEO, instead of going through page by page and doing that, I can actually do all of that editing in bulk. And so I can do that for my titles. And then I can also go and do that for my page descriptions as well. So I don't have to do it on each individual page. I can go through and do these changes in bulk if I wanted to. All right, so I've been talking for a while there. I'm going to turn it back over to Kent. What do you want to go over next?
Well, I think we should move to the front end of the website. I'm really excited about those Yoast SEO tools. It's things we didn't have access to in the past, whether it was our where to live sites or so on. So I think that's a lot of cool and a ton of information that will really help your sites. But I think we move to the front end of the website. I think customizing your content is your first thing you need to do on the front end. There's the stock bio, there's the stock content. Don't go index your sitemap on Google as is on your Google Search Console because it'll be duplicate content. So you want to be individual. You want all of your content, your bio, everything, your homepage content, any blogs, everything needs to be kind of one of a kind because you want Google to look at you and say, hey, this person, they post a lot. They understand their industry. You want to become an authority, as Chris said earlier. And what's cool about what MoxiWorks site is we're not pigeonholed into a template. We have the template to start, but you can do so many different things to make your website look so different from the other 10,000 Century 20 websites compared to what we had access to before. So that for me, that's definitely in number one is go in there and just change up the content.
Yeah, and actually one thing that I would recommend if you're going to go in and start building your own custom content, but you're worried about maybe messing up what's already in there, there are a couple of neat tricks that you can use to make sure that you've built your content first and you feel comfortable with it before you make it visible to other people. And so say, for example, I wanted to do edits on my homepage. I'm here on my site pages. I can go in and click edit right away and just change it right on my website and then publish those changes and make it live. Or if I wanted to see what it would look like and play around with a couple of different designs or maybe a couple of different types of content, one thing that I could do is use the duplicate function to create a copy of my homepage that I can edit and update. And you'll see here down at the bottom, I've got a home copy. And I can actually hide that page until I'm ready to show it. And so now I can go in, make my edits and make changes in Page Builder. And you're always going to use Page Builder when you're editing stuff on your homepage templates. So you always want to use Page Builder. And so I can go in and edit the copy or edit photos or do whatever I want and change things on my site as much as I want on the copy without having to worry so much about everybody seeing it. And so if I wanted to change the local expert buying section, and maybe I wanted to change the headline, or I wanted to change this copy, I can do all of that on a duplicate, see what it looks like, see how I feel about it. And then when I'm okay with it, I can then publish that duplicate instead, or I can copy and paste it over to my real site. And you'll see here that there's actually 2 sections in each of these. One is for mobile and one is for desktop. And so you're going to want to make your edits, whatever edits you make in the mobile version, also in the desktop version. And so just a quick reminder there, there's one big section, one smaller section. The top section is going to be for desktop. The second section is going to be for mobile, and you'd want to make your changes in both. But let's say I wanted to edit this headline and say my mission is not to deliver extraordinary experiences, is to introduce people to their forever home. I can make that edit, correct my spelling, click save, and see what it looks like and try it on for size, see if I like it. And then if I do, I can just go ahead and click done. I can either save it as a draft or publish it. And then when I'm ready to make that change and maybe make this my homepage, all I have to do is make it visible and then drag it up to the home position. And so really a lot of power to be able to edit here. Also, if I wanted to create my own custom content, for example, and instead of maybe just editing my homepage, I wanted to create other content pages, I can do that really, really easily right from my site pages dashboard, just by clicking Add New, landing on Custom Page, clicking Submit. And that will actually take me right to my page builder where I can create a new custom page. I can go ahead and click on Page Builder. And then I have the full library of content and templates available to me to create that custom page. So say, for example, I wanted a different look and feel for my homepage. I could grab a different homepage template and with a single click, apply that and really get the ability to edit and modify any of the content that was on that page. Let me see. And so it's going to pull in my contact information, but I can go in and edit any of this here. Or if I wanted to maybe change the content or the images, I have the full capability to do that and really, really customize. Or say, for example, I wanted to create a neighborhood page. There are a couple of guides down here at the bottom that you could use for creating a really nice neighborhood page. And so let's say I wanted to create a neighborhood page. It's as easy as selecting a template. And here's a great one that I could start filling out, right? And so if there's a neighborhood near me that I wanted to highlight, I could use this to start filling out content, or I could create my own page with this as a guide. I live in Seattle, so this is a local Seattle neighborhood called Capitol Hill. But it really is as easy as going in and creating content. And if there are multiple neighborhoods that I'd like to showcase on my site, I could actually create one, duplicate that, and edit it for another neighborhood or another community. So it gives me a lot of power to create loads of custom pages very easily, very quickly. Or if I decided, you know, I don't like this template as much, I want to change it to something else, I can do that very quickly by using the templates. Or I can create a custom page completely from scratch with my own look and feel. And so there's lots of options for me to build content there. And this is content that if I, for example, wanted to do some SEM and post some ads for a specific area, I would create a neighborhood page for that area for people to land on, so that they click on an ad and they land on relevant content. And then I can pull my listings in right here. I can pull in a listing widget right here and show listings in that area so that they have relevant content to land on, as well as interesting information about that community. And then all of this content gives the Google crawlers something to look at to say, hey, this person is an expert in this area. Let's show their page more often. Anything you'd like to add to this, Kent?
Yeah, one thing I'd like to touch on is when you were talking about SEM there, about making sure that you build a neighborhood page and it takes you to that relevant. If you do paid ad, it goes to that page. What I find in our area is so many realtors will do like an ad for condos for sale, and you click on it and it goes to their homepage. That's not going to help you out, because you're not giving the end user what they want. You need to have, if your strategy has to be, if you're going to do a paid ad, make sure whatever you're advertising, the content they end up on is relevant to that, whether it's a neighborhood, a price demographic, a type, whether it's commercial, farm, residential, condos. Make sure the page they go to is what they're clicking on. Whether it's a Facebook ad, Google ad, they have to have that connect. If there's that disconnect, they're just going to click and leave your site.
And one of the things that you'll be able to see once you've set up Google Analytics and Google Console is how long people stay on your site once they've clicked on it. And so that's a really good indicator of if you have relevant content. It's actually their bounce rate. And so if somebody clicks on your site, stays for 15 seconds, and then goes somewhere else, that means you probably don't have relevant content on that site. If they stay on that site for multiple minutes, or view 55% of the page, that means that there's relevant content there that matched what they were searching for and shows value. And so creating more pages in that style might benefit you, because people are finding what they want there.
Yeah, and from there, like what I like to do is once your bounce rate gets low enough and you see that page is working, how do you drag them deeper? What links do you put on that page that's relevant to drag? And then in your Google Analytics, if you see that, okay, my bounce rate is down and now people are starting to view 4, 5, 6 pages per session, Google looks at you and says, wow, like this guy knows what he's talking about and people like his site, or their site. So those are things to build on that will help you down the road for sure. And one thing I like to say is, if you build a page and you don't get a reaction right away, don't worry about it. SEO is a long-term play. Like you got to think, a 12-month plan, a 24-month plan. Unless you pay for ads right away, SEO takes time, but long-term it's well worth it, because it turns into free leads, free traffic, the more work you put in.
And one thing I do want to point out from what you just said, Kent, SEO is a long-term play, but to jumpstart that, you can combine it with SEM. Right?
Oh, exactly. That's exactly what I do. I'll think of what I want to advertise, and I'll build a page around that, and then drive traffic to start. It's almost like getting the engine started, right? And I totally agree with you on that. And then down the road, that paid traffic turns into free organic traffic if Google decides you're worthy of being ranked, right? So 100%. I combine them on everything I do. Yeah.
And that's something I like to call out, because a lot of times people go one way or the other, and it's like, I'm going to go purely organic or I'm going to go purely paid. But really the best way to get started is to use a combination of the two. And the point of entry doesn't have to be huge. And so you don't have to spend thousands of dollars on ads to get started. I've seen people with really tiny budgets drive traffic to a couple of pages and then turn that into a really powerful flywheel, getting people back on their site. So it doesn't take a lot to get started. It's just creating a few pieces of content, driving some traffic to them, whether you do that on Facebook or through AdWords or Bing or whatever you decide to do, and then making sure that you're tracking that to see how it's performing, optimize a little bit based on what you see, and then let people continue to discover it now that the search engines have identified that this is valuable content. Cool. I think one of the other hot topics that a lot of people have been asking about are blogs. So I've got loads of tips around blogs. I just wanted to get your opinion on blogging and what people should start with, what you think people should be doing with their blog.
Well, I mean, blogs are super important. They're good content. They're good to share. They're good to put in, put in an e-newsletter if you decide, like, or drip campaigns. Good blog content to me has to be industry and area specific for me. But it doesn't, if you have certain interests and you have a group of people that have certain interests, it doesn't have to be 100% real estate. You can show that you're a real human being. You don't have to always talk about real estate. But I mean, for me, the biggest things is, when you're creating a blog, when you get your topic, your link name in your blog has to be relevant to that topic. So if it's kent-braaten.c21.ca and I want to talk about foreclosures, it'll be bank foreclosures for sale or something like that, relevant to whatever my blog is. At least 450 keywords, I think words total. Links to other relevant content on your page or on your website from that page helps. And good quality images. I know a lot of people struggle with finding royalty-free images, but if you go to websites like unsplash.com or pexels.com, you can actually, there's a lot of really good images to combine with your content that are free. You don't have to give them royalty rights. You don't have to pay for them. So if you're looking for good quality images for blogs or even for your website, those are two I recommend. And when you're doing images, just another point is name that image something relative to what it is, because Google can't read a number. So if it's a bank foreclosure picture, I want to name that image bank foreclosures. So that's how I start my blogs and structure my blogs, is few images, make sure I have a minimum of 450 keywords, and any links and the link title has to be relevant to my content. Yeah,
and those are all really the points that I would hit. Is a blog article, the sweet spot for length of a blog article is between 450 and 1,000 words, no longer. Nobody wants to read a novel in a blog article. They should be pretty quick and easy to digest. Your point about photography is huge, though. Having a high quality image with alt tags and a description on it. And I mentioned that earlier for SEO other places, but that's really huge because it gives Google the ability to know what that image is about and if it's relevant to the blog. So not only can it show it in image search results for a specific topic, but it can also show that URL in general search results. So it gives you two places where it could potentially show up. And then also, one of the things that you touched on that I really liked was setting up the link, right, to make sense. If you're doing a piece on bank foreclosures, you don't want to call it cerulean blue being the newest, hottest color, right? It's not going to make sense. It's not really going to direct people to what it is that they're looking at. And for blogging, one of the things that I like to mention to people is that it can be personal, right? And so pieces of it can be about your business, pieces of it can be about you, and a combination of the two works the best. It's largely a lot like the conversations you have when you meet somebody before you start talking about real estate. Like, hey, tell me a little bit about yourself. Do you have kids? What are you looking for? Where do you live? Where you're from? It helps build rapport with clients that don't get to meet you face to face. And so it shows how you can differentiate yourself as a person to have a few of those personal pieces in your blog, but also to have industry relevant content as well. It can really set you apart from somebody that's always posting about the business and never posts about forward activities, things about their friends, family, relationships, what drives them. And I'm a big believer in ninjas, so I really think that that's something that people should include in all of their content.
Yeah.
And just a quick sheet for how to get to creating blog content and how to get to a guide there. So once again, in your agent website admin tool, there is a handy button on the dashboard that says set up your blog, and it says go there, right? Because you absolutely should go there. So to click on that, it'll actually take you to the page to set up your blog, where you can create a blog page for your website. You can enter the title. You can also enter a translation. You can put different categories in for your blog and publish it, and that will create a blog page for you. So let me just And you don't have to do it in multiple languages, but if you want to, you can also do it in French. And you can publish a blog, and that will make that blog page available in your site admin. And then you can add posts to it. So to add a post, it's as easy as going new and then posts. And it'll give you a really simple editor for creating a blog post, where you can add media, and it doesn't have to be just photos. It can be, it doesn't have to be just photos. It can be video content. It can be audio content. So you would upload photos from your gallery. You can type in your content here, and it's also going to give you a word count and all of the Yoast premium information for you to be able to track the value of that post. And then you can even put in a category for that type of post. And so if you're doing posts on multiple categories, for example, building styles or advice or stuff for buyers or stuff for sellers, you can actually categorize that on your page, which is going to improve your link structure as well. And so it'll be blog posts / category sellers / content name, which really drills down into what the actual content piece is. And you can even tag that content to make it easier for people to find on your site, and add multiple tags for a page, as well as setting a featured image for that page, obviously with a meta description on it as well. So there's a lot of power in being able to create a blog really easily, right here built into the builder. Okay, and I think we've got a few minutes left to the end. Ken, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, I know you touched on it quickly, but for custom pages, I think the duplication function is amazing. You know, I think about it like there's 50 neighborhoods in Saskatoon. You don't need to build a unique template for all 50 neighborhoods. You know, you could, if you find a page that you build really nice and you think it's really sleek, you can just duplicate it and just put in the content for that neighborhood. I really like that function in the back end, is being able to duplicate the pages. The other thing is, how do you find, you know, how do I find a lot of keywords that I use? I use Google Keyword Planner in Google Ads. So I can search keywords, and that I'll quickly show you how to do that. So once you have you just have to set up a Google Ads account, and then go to Tools, Keyword Planner. I can either decide, you know, the volume. If I want to type in Saskatoon homes for sale, it'll tell me exactly what volume of searches realistically are that month. Or if I want to discover some keywords, I can type in one keyword and it'll give me a list of relevant keywords to that and how often it's searched. So or you can just Google, like you can say, you know, if you want to say condos for sale in Saskatoon, at the bottom of the first page, it'll give you people also searched for these words. So those are things that I think are important. And don't pigeonhole yourself. One thing I've done with my website is there's areas in our MLS that I don't work, but agents in our office do. So if there's some small communities, I've built content about those communities, and there's an agent, if I get a lead for that, I send it to him and take a 25% referral, and he closed 2 this last month. So don't just think, you know, start with where you're working to customize pages. But if there's other opportunities with low-hanging fruit that, you know, other agents in your office or things you can refer out to get that, you know, extra income off your website for return on investment, really think about that too, to expand, you know, the potential of your website.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's amazing advice.
I'm going to jump in here because we have a whole bunch of questions today. Chris, could you quickly demo again, please, how to get into your settings? That was something you did right at the beginning, but someone, I think, missed that. If you can just show people how to get into their settings, that would be great. Yeah,
absolutely. And so on your site page, and it's persistent. And so once you see it, it'll stay there forever. There's this little navigation on the left-hand side. And settings is just one of the navigation items. If you click on it, it'll drop down and give you all of the additional settings that you have access to here.
Great. The next question came in while we were talking about redirects. What if our pages were archived? Can you do a redirect from an archived page, or is that a bad idea?
If the page is archived and not currently displaying, it wouldn't make sense in a lot of cases to do a redirect on it. Generally, I recommend redirects for pages where there's going to be a like for like live page. There's nothing blocking you from doing it, but it's not going to give you as much value as a redirect for a live page would.
So you would recommend copying and pasting that content into a new page would be a better way to do it?
Create that content, or if there's still live links for that page. So if you were to search for that page and it's live, then I would do a redirect for it.
Okay. Can you set up a Facebook pixel in a similar way on the MoxiWorks site?
Yes. And so to set up a Facebook pixel, we actually have a section for that. And it's called script tag settings. And so it's right here under settings. And you can actually just paste your pixel right in here. And it even calls out your Facebook pixel base code and JavaScript.
Great. It looks simple. Okay, the next one about security. I was looking through our website and it is not secured. How do we make sure to secure it?
That's your SSL cert.
And to show us again where that is when you just have to activate it?
Yep.
And do you do that once you've updated the site, or should you do that right now?
You can do that right now if you want.
Okay.
And so SSL cert is once again in settings, and then you would just go and click apply SSL cert. And you'll see that over the time we've been talking, mine went from non-secure to having the lock on it.
Right. That's an easy thing to fix. My website, from the Google link, it says your connection is not private. Attackers might be trying to steal. Why is that?
That's your SSL cert.
Great. You just need to go in and click that. Okay. Let me see if there were any other questions. I think those are them. That was tons of information. Thank you so much, both Chris and Kent. There was so much information. I'm sure people are going to have to go back and look at that again, rewatch it, do some things along with you. But I think the information that you gave is so helpful to them and really gives them a place to begin. So thank you both so much for doing that. Excellent information.
No problem.
Well, and I think we've given people enough homework for the week. So go in, dive in, see what you can create on your site. If you do something really great, we always love to see it. So please feel free to reach out to us and let us know. As all, we're just a couple of minutes over today. So thanks so much for joining us. We will see you again next week. Have a good one.